It's finally here! The fighters will battle for personal glory and the fate of their countries.
Tekken has always packed a wallop, starting life on PlayStation hardware both in the System 11 arcade and a massive smash in the face and charts for the OG PlayStation when fighting games were massive across the globe in the early 90s. Building from those scrolling beat-em-ups in the mid-80s such as Kung Fu Master, Ninja Warriors, Golden Axe and of course Splatterhouse from Namco themselves. Tekken swung a roundhouse to the 3D fighting pioneer in Sega's Virtua Fighter, offering rich texture map characters, smooth martial arts action at 60 FPS in the arcade and home consoles, or 50Hz in PAL territories, but from then till now that high frame rate and fast input has been a priority. With Tekken 8, the team have embraced the latest in technology in Unreal Engine 5, and it hits you right between the eyes. Tekken 8 is not the first in the series to use Epic's Unreal Engine, following on from 7 which leveraged UE4. Prior to this, Tekken has been built on Namco's own bespoke engine that ran across arcade, PlayStation and Xbox hardware. Physics have always been a core element, with the Octave physics engine delivering fluid and destruction simulation, and Tekken 8 pushes this harder with some of the fighting areas designed around real-time procedural destruction and expansion, similar to what we have seen in earlier titles such as Dead or Alive. Right from the off, huge destruction reigns in the opening Jin battle as the ground breaks, objects crumble and buildings fall as you battle it out through the story or versus mode. It's cinematic to the max and really captures that Tekken feel. With the power available within current generation consoles and PC, the team have been able to deliver the best looking fighter and materials of the series yet. They still rely on a mix of pre-rendered and real-time cinematics, but the gap between the models is much smaller than ever. The first giveaway is the fact the real-time segments run at a full 60 FPS, whereas the pre-renders are just 30. The character models themselves, animation, lighting and skin quality and deformation is exceptional in both, and even at twice the frame rate, the real-time versions are not significantly reduced, although the post-processing effects and lighting along with the anti-aliasing is significantly higher in the pre-renders. This is not a shock though, as fighting games since the days of Ways of the Exploding Fist have focused on two detailed protagonists smashing each other's teeth out over a gorgeous backdrop. And here Tekken 8 raises the game with highly detailed, active and vibrant locations that range from bustling cities, dense forested areas and streams, and even storm-ravaged docks, taking more the entire branch than a leaf out of the Mortal Kombat flamboyant cinematic approach they adopted with success in Tekken 7. Here, the needle is pushed much further to sell the sheer scale and power of each of the game's 33 playable characters. The skin and muscle simulation is particularly worthy of praise. When the characters flex, they go full Hulk Hogan. The biceps can be seen expanding, veins pop, tendons contort and teeth are smashed, all in the name of violent style, and it looks amazing. The pyrotechnics are used across the vast array of moves each character sports, be it a Hellraiser-like chain move from the Devil in Jin, to the slow-moving Trinity-inspired kickspin and gunshots of Nina. Each move is suitably enhanced with dynamic lights, particles and effects. A UFC cage arena, complete with baying crowds as laser lights strobe across martial law, pops more than his collar as he becomes the dragon with nunchaku destruction, breaking the rules of hand-to-hand combat, but hardly the only one to do it here. Later sections hark back to older Tekkens with a swathe of armed soldiers to test your might against. The variety offered in the story and arcade modes is welcome, although more around these areas would be of benefit. Physics remain a core game element though. Hair bobs and flows with weight and momentum, cloth folds and wraps during combat. Many of the arenas break down and show the scars of your battle, with destructible floors that use a mix of decals, normal maps and geometry that tracks your feet and fists of fury. This extends to the objects within the arena, knocking tables out of the way, food stalls, bashing down walls, breaking through floors, and everything seems to break, react and bounce as you fight, like two Colossus Titans in the midst of battle. Each battle commences with a short chat or trash talk and enables you to appreciate the best thing in the game and UE5's toolkit, the combatants themselves. The vast increase in polygonal density, texture and composite materials, along with improved animation rigs on faces and bodies, better hair and physics. Not all is new though, with many characters using the exact same idle block and some combat moves even when compared to Tekken 6 and 7. Now, this is nothing new and shows the increases are always balanced with an effort versus reward approach, and new animation sets for the sake of it are a prime example of that. Using the in-game model viewer allows you to appreciate the physically based skin, leather, fabric and even glasses of each. Skin shows excellent subsurface lighting as it diffuses and reacts accurately based on camera. Pores can be seen, sweat and water run down with a mix of normal maps and decal blends. Hairstyles are vibrant and fluid, with extensive hair cards used but mixed with anisotropic lighting and a dithered look that succeeds in delivering a manga style with hyperrealism and far more movement than prior releases. They use screen space shadows mixed with shadow maps well to aid quality, and alongside a solid ambient occlusion implementation and screen space reflections across the locations, everything looks and feels grounded and impressive. As lush and dynamic as the backgrounds are, no faux 3D poster that scrolls in the background of the originals here, the exquisite fighters always steal the limelight. In motion, they look much better, and I adore the sympathetic keyframe and vertex-based animation they have kept from the originals. The way Jin spins and pivots around his own waist when kicked, or Law's flip kick from Enter the Dragon splays out to new elegant slow motion when blocking and countering a hit into a throw. Stringing combos look smooth and manages to balance speed with velocity and power in each and every hit. Kicking someone through a glass wall never looked so much fun and felt so good. We have been enjoying the PlayStation 5 version here, and it represents the best of the console versions. Quickly using the packed and identical demo version with the patches applied, loading was far slower in Tekken 7 over 6, and with the latest consoles we now see it back and beating Tekken 6, even in backwards compatibility mode, so not much thumb twiddling between thumb bashing now. The Series X aligns to the same stats. Dynamic resolution scaling is used at a 60 FPS. This can scale from a full 4K to approximately sub 1440p. It is often around or above 1620p in action, with some of the bigger and more active stages hovering in the lower range of that. In addition, it appears to use FSR1 to increase the quality further when below a full buffer. Ghosting and disocclusion fizzle can be obvious at times and aligned with the PC version using FSR1 enabled. PC does offer some of the best set of upsamplers I have seen, with Unreal Engine's own TSR being the best. Sadly, VRS can ruin the image at times, specifically on floors, hair and FX Alpha. Now this is bad at times, and it can leave some sections looking sub 1080p if you count the jagged texture details, but I believe this is just the heavy-handed VRS as we saw in Starfield and Dead Space. The Tier 2 solution used on the Series S is much worse than on PC at the same settings, and it only appears to be used as a filter effect on certain moves on Series X and PlayStation 5. I remain unconvinced of its use outside of VR, and the cost of IQ versus performance never aligns. Thankfully, the PC has an off switch. Series S does suffer most, with a 720p like resolution more often than not, significantly lower textures, shadows, LODs and FX. Performance is close to the same as Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, which is to say, aside a few single drops during camera switches or big spawned effects, which may be data related, all versions hold a solid and locked 60 FPS. Well, except a couple of big battle moments in the story mode for a brief few seconds, and these minor dips appear to impact PlayStation 5 more than the Xbox Series X, using the opening battle explosion as a prime example. These are, however, fleeting occurrences to say the least. The others come when jumping into a movie from real-time action. Frame times can skip and then correct, causing some minor judder. Supporting this performance high is the vital aspect of a fighter: input latency. Using my tried and true testing setup, I get a low of 56.8 milliseconds and a high of 63 milliseconds, offering a medium input latency of 59.6, which is superb and close to identical to those original Tekken titles on a fast CRT. The game feels crisp and smooth all the time and greatly aids those timed air combo juggles, which are a priority for Tekken players. The game and engine scales brilliantly with the handheld market as well, and the Steam Deck offers a cracking mobile version of the bigger machines. Settings show that higher end PCs can add motion blur and better AA in DLSS or higher, with PlayStation 5 and Series X being close to the highest settings on PC. Steam Deck has to settle with a mix of low and medium, and I recommend the on-screen configuration for gaming on the go, where the cutbacks are minor, but it retains a close enough lock to that required 60 FPS range. It still looks great, and if on a bigger screen, then use Unreal Engine's TSR, which can have approximately 12 to 16% performance cost over FSR1, but on the smaller 8-inch screen itself, FSR1 is fine and offers better performance. It really demonstrates the flexibility of UE5 in allowing the team to ship across so many formats and form factors whilst maintaining their artistic aims, whilst offering us the choice to pick our own poison. Tekken games often added some of the most packed and varied modes of any fighter, alongside bleeding edge visuals and animation. Tekken 3 on the OG PlayStation still stands proud as one of the best looking games period in the 32-bit era. Tekken 8 I think exceeds them all, with a dramatic and at times bonkers Jin story mode, bespoke character story modes for each, arcade online mini Tekken tournaments complete with cute mini avatar people, practice arcade beats, customization, and even a jukebox to enjoy the Tekken tunes of older days. But visually it outclasses all prior releases, maybe not quite at the original reveal levels, with a clean but sometimes sterile look in contrast to the heavily tone mapped and post-processed pre-renders. It still strikes you often how good games have become, with an exaggerated Tom and Jerry like violence that highlights the skill and passion within the art, animation, lighting and sound teams, empowered with Unreal Engine 5 toolset. It offers months of fun and enjoyment, with it being very pleasing on the eyes, even if they are black and blue. And that's it for another fast-paced, frenetic and combat-focused technical analysis. And if you enjoy what we do here on IGN Performance Reviews, then keep it IGN, and be sure to enter the dragon on the next one.
Round 3. Fight.